analyst. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be here.
All right, and Dr. Dele Shetolu, who has been with us all this while. He's a political analyst and a social critic. Thank you for staying with us.
My pleasure.
All right, time now to join Kunle Ojo, who is standing by to give.
Judith, good afternoon to you. I can confirm to you now that I'm at Coffee Pooling Unit at Alausa in Ikeja here. And as expected, and as so many observers and stakeholders, it's been on a sort of apathy on the part of the voters. At this particular polling unit, which is at Coffee Junction, a quite number of people, they've performed their civic responsibility. You can see the security. But I can confirm that a quite number of them are here. If you can look at their boxes.
Morning, is that what you're trying to say?
To some people, the apathy on that we've recorded in some part of of Lagos State, especially where I'm reporting from. But to some of the observers that I spoke with earlier on, they believe that rain cannot equal. We can't say that rain disturbed people. That last year, but the veracity of this information cannot be confirmed. That the Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission failed to provide enough orientation, enough information. So to that observer, he believed that people don't have enough information about the exercise. Substituted that their names are not on the list. On the list rather, released by the Lagos State Independent National Electoral Commission.
You are voting, accreditation and voting went on simultaneously. Kunle Ojo, can you tell us?
According to the chairman of the last year, I believe we were told that there will not be need for the use of any issues. As voters queue on the line, they were being attended to, and equally they casted their votes promptly. So far, there hasn't been any issues as regards voting and accreditation of vote. Ago, the former governor of Lagos State, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, performed his civic duty as well at his polling unit, and it was devoid of any issues. So far, there hasn't been any issues since the commencement.
To Kunle Ojo on the field, and he gave a report of the low turnout of voters. This election is coming for the first time in 5 years, and you expect people to come out en masse to cast their vote to determine who will lead them at the grassroots level. But what we're seeing is a far cry from what is expected. Their civic duty in this very important election.
Well, the rain will definitely contribute, because when it rains, people usually find it difficult to move freely, except for those who have cars and they have umbrellas. And apart from that, we should not forget the fact that local government is so important, like that of the governorship and presidential election. It has always been so all over the country. Since we gained independence, but one would have expected the improvement since we now have many platforms of communication. We have the social media, we have many and radio station, but today we have multiple. So I would have expected the INEC or Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission to sensitize the citizen, but that was not done. And again, on the part of the politicians themselves did not also do much by going around to politicians going around to campaign. It was just some few places that we saw some posters, and posters are not enough to sensitize people when elections are coming. So I think this is why the turnout is very, very low as compared to those of governorship and presidential elections in the country.
All right, here, Ms. Saka,
Well, I would say it was when Section 7 and Section 8 of the Nigerian Constitution was really activated by state governors that made the case worse off. because if you remember, with the advent of democracy or democratic rule in 1999, it was INEC that conducted local government election, and yeah, the turnout was still impressive compared to became a compensation ground or an avenue to compensate party faithfuls or loyalists. That's when you heard things like, he's been in the party for so long, he's been a good party member, let's give him the ticket. And what you found out in Lagos State was, it wasn't about, they were not bothered about the electorate, they were not bothered about campaigning and selling themselves. They just bothered about getting the ticket, because governors are the one controlling everything, because the constitution empowers them to do such. They control, they determine. But there's a part of the constitution which they are not abiding to, which says the leadership of the local government should be democratically elected. But you find most times, in fact, or your state, for instance, has never conducted local government since the. But now, you find that if the constitution can be amended, which is part of the restructuring people are clamoring for, that stipulates in clear terms that the local government should be autonomous. Okay, let them get their allocation directly from the federation account. So it states that election must occur at so periodically, and then to us, to the masses and get the votes. But what you see these days, just let me get desperate and get a party ticket. If it's PDP that's in the centers in the state government, you find that all the local government chairmen and the elected chairmen and chairpersons or councillors will be from PDP. If it's APC, it's going to be APC. But until the constitution is rejigged to give room for, become a councillor.
All right. Dr. Shetolu, do you think the review of the constitution will be like a way forward for this attitude Nigerians show towards local government elections?
Yes, we need a new constitution, particularly the political class. I discussed that earlier. The political elite is distant from the populace. The political class that governs at the local level lacks legitimation. And legitimation is often derived from the capacity and capability of state actors to deliver social services. The local governments do not deliver social services. In fact, there's a governance deficit at the local level to the extent that non-governmental bodies, local government, okay? So we need to rethink our politics in terms of how candidates emerge, what electoral system or what platform of contestation we should. You recall in the first answer, majoritarian electoral type is whoever wins, wins all, whoever loses, loses all. What does it encourage? It makes the political elite desperate. It makes the struggle for power intense and obscene and Machiavellian. Okay, we need to discourage it. Independent candidates, would create a okay. We need to introduce consensus politics and politics of compromise into our political life. Okay, the political terrain in Nigeria is too conflictual. In Africa, it's conflict ridden, and it creates tension. We need a new constitutional architecture, and within the new constitutional architecture, a new political superstructure, that reflects the aspirations, genuine feelings of.
Our correspondent did talk about so a stakeholder attributing the low turnout to lack of enough mobilization on the part of LASIAG, on the part of the stakeholders, that is the political parties. Also, just to pay salaries of teachers in some cases. What do you think? Who do you think is who do you think is his responsibility? His or our responsibility.
The Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission to sensitize the citizen when elections are coming, because that is the core duty, of the body. But you are declaring winner, you assume office if there is any that is responsible to prove people are disappointed by the electoral process in Nigeria, because it is one person that will sit in the comfort of his home and give the ticket to whoever he desires to get the ticket. And when it happens that way, then the people will not be, of the election.
All right. What's your take on that? Yeah, I see you smiling towards he's saying that. I'm wondering.
No, it's the truth. Most of this, like he said, local government has been reduced to nothing, if I could say that. And you find that most governors are taking over the functions of local government.
All right, please let me hold you there, Yemisaka. Hello, Diola. Do you have any updates for us?
We have been to Ward 304 in Ikorodu West.
All right.
We have been to Ward 306 in Ikorodu West. We have been to Ward E2, polling unit 1. That is around Barapa Alagemo in Ikorodu North. We have been to Ode Oniri. We have also been to. So what we have done so far, Judith, there is low turnout of voters. Voters apathy is one characteristic of this election. Of the little people that turn out to vote, they have comported themselves in a very orderly manner. There has been no disruption of the process so far. And that everywhere we have been to, we have also been to LCDA.
Are card readers being used for this election, Diola?
No, Judith. Card readers are not being used for this election.
Okay, has there been any complaint so far from people who probably want to vote and their name is not on the register? Do you have such complaint?
I've had none so far.
Okay, so
the little people that came in to vote, cast their vote and they leave the polling booth immediately.
all right. So when is election expected to end?
It is expected that voting will start by 2 o'clock, but we are still waiting to see what will happen, because in most places, voting started very late. There are places where voting didn't start until 10 o'clock. Voting didn't start there until 10 o'clock in the morning. We also witnessed the same thing at Ode Oniri, where we got here around 9:12, and the last year commission just arrived. They were just trying to set up their voting apparatus to commence work. So we
Right. Can you tell us the security situation in Ikorodu, and are people complying with the restriction of movement order in place?
Judith, in some places, because there are places where we still get to. I got to place this morning, and there was a woman frying, and that I was frying yam. Just a short throw from a in the Ikorodu area, in the Ikorodu West, local government of Lagos State. We got in there, people were still frying yam, not far from the polling booth. But generally, there are places too where we have seen it, not just in Lagos today has been such a football field. You see youth everywhere, they are having fun. Even for those of us that are driving around, we have to wait for them, allow them to pass their goalposts before we go up the passage of way. So it's like that around that place. In other places, for the normal daily routine, people are going to pass, and there are some things that happen today. But generally, it has been calm.
What do you make of this?
That's expected in Ikorodu, and if they've done otherwise in Ikorodu, I would have been surprised. Inga, until the outcries became so deafening. And by the time the governor, who I considered impulsively reactionary, was going to take a step, was to go to Ikorodu town, order the security, a contingent of security. And you find out that if I'm a citizen that felt neglected by my government, why should I support their cause? It's very simple.
Well, it's their cause in one way or the other. They're representing you.
Because the truth of the matter is that it's the anger of an avid Lagosian. Because if you're going to take it from a lot of angles, like SEC didn't do well enough when it comes to advocacy, and then like go. And you keep wondering what is it about the local government election. They were just busy about PDP just got its ass together and put his house. It just put his house in good perspective or enough for this election. But now ask yourself a question: what are we? Just look at the candidates on display, or the candidates contest or slugging things out. They don't even. He said something. I'll give you an instance. There was Obaniko's son was alleged to have won the election in Ikoyi local government. I can't remember which of the local government in Ikoyi.
Ikoyi or Balade.
Balade. It went to the tribunal, and by the time the judgment came in his favor, it was thrown out on technical ground because the laws that govern the state when it comes to local government elections say non-interested or interested when it comes to local government elections. And you see, local governors too have done worse as in they've done bad enough to make local government so inconsequential. That's when a governor will come to your state, your local government, and start tying roads and probably erecting street lights. What there, as the chairman of the local government, either by imposition or by manipulation of the process, while I was growing up, local governments are the ones in charge of incinerators in the neighborhood.
Clearing of refuse.
Yeah, cleaning of refuse. Responsible for paying salaries of obas. There's something they should be in charge of primary healthcare in the state. They meant
Their
and the guy is just there. I know another thing that happens is this. I will cite instance, and I know of my area Agboike too. Somebody became the chairman of the local government, and before you could say Jack Robinson, moved out of the local government and started staying in Lekki. So it shows you the chasm between the so-called
in elections. Do you think at this point we should restrict people during election period? Why don't you let people go about their normal duty? Why elections go on? Or do you think we're not of age to do that in Nigeria?
Well, I guess there are two questions.
Answer that one is done.
All right.
Well, in terms of the political question, we should consider Nigeria's histo-political realities. What will likely happen where there are free movements? Will free movement engender or promote, or hinder free elections and so on and so forth? Well, if you ask me, it does appear that considering the deficits in Nigeria's electoral democracy, it does appear we need restrictions, at least to some extent, to secure. And private armies who might choose to be on rampage and so on and so forth. Ordinarily, theoretically, I would have preferred a non-restrictive process. I would have preferred conditions in Nigeria conducive for such. Isn't it likely that non-restrictive process will develop into a state of anomaly of sorts that electoral bodies and security agents will not be able to control? Are desperate for power at every point in time, and the desperation of the political elite makes it imperative, to restrict, because restriction has to do with the fair that relates to, predilection, to rig elections, to transfer ballot papers, and so on and so forth. So, where the political class, changes its attitude and perception of politics, we might not need it. But at this point in time, politics is warfare in Nigeria. Can't help it. I suppose we can help it.
Yeah. In addition to what you said, I'm not a lawyer, but I've been lucky enough to read the Constitution from the first schedule to the seventh schedule, and I've not seen anywhere, even when the section 7, I think there can be electronic voting. Once I can vote from anywhere, once I don't have to go to the polling booth, I can vote. The process is desperate, but you know you lost fair and square, and you believe, okay, fine, the next 4 years I'll wait.
All right, you're watching a special edition on the local government election in Lagos, and you can be a part of the program by sending in a text message to this number 0708 7407 508. Messages. The number will be scrolled on the screen shortly. All right, Victor Aya, he did make.
Yes, I wanted to add to the issue of restriction.
All right.
Why we always experience violence during election. It is just because of the enormous amount of money that politicians get, from politics. In other countries where political or public office is not meant to serve the people, but to make money, and that is why, as I've said before, that you see people in other professions resigning. Today we now have musicians, actors, go into business because that is where you make money. You make money in business outside Nigeria, but in Nigeria, you make money in politics. And as long as politics is associated with huge amount of money, then it will remain with.
Look at it. How many former governors do you have in Nigeria? 1990 date, former president, or who have you? That's a broke man.
So, politics means to make money in Nigeria, unfortunately. All right, that's a reality. All right, you're still watching the program. We're right back.
Thank you to the people of Lagos State. Get the call of the party to turn out. Look at the boxes. Within a short period of time, it's getting filled up. It's going smoothly. We have peace at various.
Their vote, and everything has been peaceful. There has not been any case of maybe fighting or whatever in any part of the state.
I'm not aware. I will say to you from day one that the candidates have emerged. No candidate was dropped.
We see the low turnout. Even here, the people are not around. We don't know what is happening.
Okay, this thing is important to do it. But why we want to understand, some people, whether no concern me, not.
All right, so welcome back. We just saw the APC women leader, Kemi Nelson, and Asiwaju Bola Tinubu cast their vote. Okay, thank you for staying here. He said the election is yet to commence in right. There are some people who do not sell your future, do not sell your children's future as well.
Don't vote.
Okay. Link me with Mr. Kenneth. Mr. Kenneth is not on the program. All right, Dr. Dele, we still have this issue of tipping people to vote. Is it the people at the from them when they get there?
Well, there are multivariable explanations for the situation. One is economic context to it. There's pervasive poverty. Most of the people are being impoverished, pauperized, and demented by equally demented political class. They're losing their and make the people lose their sense of self-worth, and they politically resort to oddities and handouts. poverty, material poverty I refer to, the economic backwardness, you know, it's not peculiar to Nigeria as a it traverses the greater part of Africa, and it's been a major impediment democracy are working at to raise the consciousness of the populace about the defects of inducement, in election-based inducement. And I suppose the consciousness is increasing. There are instances where the voters collect the money or the detergents or the food or whatever, and still the desperation of the political class. Otherwise, why would a member of the political class who is aspiring to serve, who is aspiring to exercise political power for social good, resort to inducement? You know, state resources for private economic and political gains. You know, that explains it. But you know, the other question the issue we should be addressing is, how do we address, you know, how do we tackle the inducement aspect? How do we ensure that voters begin to resist?
Okay, Alan did send this from Ojodu. He said election is dry here, the polling units are empty, and there is no turn-up at all. Antonia says it's like LASIK did not envisage that it will rain today, even though it's a rainy season, hence the delay in ballot papers getting to their destinations on time, and them being absent in some polling areas. Rain should not be a factor next time. All right, Tunde Bade says Nigerians would continue to be governed by the same money bags and thugs if we don't change our attitude to voting. All right, thank you. And Clement